We are recording. Welcome to the evening of Python coding. I'm very happy to host Graham Waters again. He gave us a good talk in the Austin monthly Python meetup about AI and like the new types of AI and how to use them for programming. But during this talk, he told us something about a nice library called Faker. So I kind of twisted his end to give a talk here. And he agreed. So Graham, thank you for agreeing and tell us more about Faker.
I will absolutely do that. Thank you for having me, Jacob. First, though, could I get a reaction from anybody who's ever heard of Faker on the call? And you can click the react button too. All right, we have 1, 2, 3 people, 4. Not very many people. Yeah. So Faker, I had not heard of Faker either until I was deep into a data analytics project, and I had to use, I had to come up with a fake name, email address, all those different types of data that are really sensitive data. And so this is a whole field called synthetic data. And there's people that are much more adept at explaining synthetic data than I am, but I am going to focus on Faker for right now. So if you want to, there is a URL here in the chat. I'm going to put it here in the messages. Go ahead and you can either star or clone the repo if you want to follow along. And in the templates folder here, I have several examples that are indicative of what you can do with Faker, which there's so much you can do with it. It's unbelievable. Let's look at the documentation so you have an idea. This, you can come up with names. So it'll make fake names. It'll make fake addresses. It'll make an entire, of course, like nonsense block of text. It's actually kind of fun because I can point directly. It can make that text right there. And it uses these class structures called providers, and you can basically, let's just start doing some things so you can have an idea. So in the first example file, if you run it, it will automatically install with pip. And we're installing Faker and pandas. I recommend doing this in a Conda environment, but if you are not in a Conda environment, then good luck. So basically what we're going to do first is come up with some fake data points. And what we want to say is, let's just say we want to use Faker to create a fake persona and print it. So first it's going to instantiate the Faker object, and that they call that a provider. And then you can print a fake profile. So if you see, this is a gigantic thing. So let's make this into a data frame. Looks like it does not like that. So we won't make it into a data frame. What we can say is profile is equal to fake.profile and see what that looks like. It looks like it's a dictionary. So if I say transform profile from the dictionary format, then you can, nope, it's not going to do it either. pg.to data frame. See if that works. Oh, did we import it? Yes, we did. It's live coding. Happens every time. So anything goes. But what the great thing about the world is that we live in right now is you can do stuff like this. It doesn't work because I'm not on my other account. Ignore that. That was not real. Anyway, you get the idea that this, obviously it came up with a job, so landscape architect. There's a fake company, a fake social security number, a residence. It's like a fake current location, blood type, gives them a website, a username. So there's way more information than you probably even need just by doing profile. But what if we wanted to, I'm going to skip ahead a little because I think it's much more useful for our time to come up with stuff like this. If we had a CRM database and we were trying to populate it with fake people, we wanted to use Faker to do that, we can say Faker, so go through Faker, and then create a list of 1,000 fake names. And what's fun is you can do this, GitHub Copilot, and just wait a couple seconds. And it kind of knows what you want because it sees your comments up here. And it will suggest what it thinks you want to say. So I just go, yep. And I look and see where does it repeat itself? Because it does usually. Just take those off. So now, basically what this is going to do is it's going to make a bunch of fake data that is, and I say fake, we should start calling it synthetic. Because what this is data we can actually use and not get in trouble with the people that obviously wouldn't want their name out there. Faker is not defined. Oh, sorry. I have to run from the top.
Yeah. While you're running this, I'll tell you the story. Synthetic data is used in several locations, not only about people that you don't want the real names all over. It's especially very important in medical settings. It's called individual data. And this individual data is highly sensitive, especially because the rules, they're called HIPAA, or governed by something called HIPAA, that doesn't allow patient data to get out. Well, no one wants all the illnesses to be reviewed by everyone else in the world. So therefore, but also anything individual is kind of like your name even, and stuff like this has to be not true. So how do you test the system that like you created a software, but now you have all this individual data to run, so you cannot test it on this individual data and show it in a demonstration or something like this. So you need something fake. This is where Faker comes in.
Right. So thank you for that,
Sorry
because
for
that is
interrupting.
exactly.
Sorry for interrupting. It's just I
No, it
wanted to add.
gave me time.
Yeah.
So so this is following, it ignored my comment because it is following what I said up here instead of what I just said here. So let's hop over to I think you can recognize this website. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new chat.
Blown off course grounding Kate Malia. Odysseus and crew arrive at these happy vegans.
Excellent point, Ed. I couldn't agree more.
What did you say?
I have no idea.
Okay, so wait a second. He probably has to mute himself. He muted. Great.
Yeah, he did. So while I'm doing this, or while it's doing this, basically this will make us what we want. And basically we won't have to do anything ourselves because GPT-4 is incredible. But as you can see, what it's doing is it's actually generating, looks like blood type, and I don't think it knows how to use Faker to its full capability because it seems to be making it up as it goes. Yeah, it's not using the generators. So I'm going to ignore that and move forward with this. Because what we can do actually, if you look at the documentation, is the standard providers. If we are trying to, I was trying to go off of what Jacob was saying about medical information. If we want medical information, I believe it has a medical, there it is, person. So this will be interesting. So we want to
Okay. I believe we have some sort of disconnection. Is only Graham frozen on my screen, or someone else is also seeing frozen?
It's frozen.
Yeah, he got disconnected. We'll wait for him to jump in. We'll wait a few minutes. Sometimes those things happen. I only hope that he doesn't think that he's presenting and he's still connected. This will be. I'm going to try to edit this out, this section. I'm texting on the phone. We lost only him, or yeah, only him. Sorry, all. Hopefully, we'll reset this in a minute or two.
It must be in Texas. Texas always has horrible Wi-Fi.
He's in Texas. I'm in Israel.
I hear Israel is very advanced technologically.
Yeah, it is.
Telling the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm back.
Oh, okay. I was about to finish the text for you. Okay. So we'll have to resume where you were, and I will try to cut it out from the video at the end, or just leave it as it is, because it's authentic. This is what happens. So
I mean, hey, it happens, and that was the entire house went out, all the power. So
I'll give you the moderator. No, you're still moderator. You have no problems. Go ahead. You can present, take your time. I know things have happened. Sorry, all, but that's life.
Yep, it's life, and it's also showbiz. Where just give me a couple seconds to open up Visual Studio again.
Yeah, take your time. We're not in a rush.
While I'm waiting, though, does anybody have any questions that I can answer verbally while we're just sitting here?
Jacob mentioned your Texas. What part of Texas?
I'm hearing several people at once. Jacob mentioned something.
Yeah, I said Jacob mentioned that you were in Texas. I'm curious what part of Texas.
Yeah, I am in Pflugerville area. So that's just north of Austin, between a rock and a weird place, is what we like to say.
So, yeah, I only asked because I'm in Austin and our entire neighborhood had a power outage today. So
Yeah, that must be happening. That's weird. It was a very unusual power outage, I'll say that.
yeah, that's kind of what I was curious.
Okay, so going full on an iPad, here we go. So let's just, instead of doing something super boring, and I mean, we could make a bunch of fake zip codes and first names and everything. Is there something interesting that we could do that would be a good use of Faker? Can someone think of a good idea for what we can generate based on what you saw in the documentation from Faker?
Come on, Graham is going like live coding. So help him.
Live coding.
Give me some idea or something. That's what you're doing, no? We usually have a prepared demo, but Graham is courageous.
Some would call it courageous. Others would call it other things. But let's say that we're doing this and that this is the provider that we want to use. We want to use the person provider. I'm going to turn Copilot back
I'll
on.
give you an idea. What about a taxi database? Like
a taxi database?
Yeah, and let's say that I want to create a taxi of rides from place A to place B, and like two addresses and the name of the person and the name of the driver or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let me.
And how many
Just
miles have been driven or something like this?
So go ahead and put it in the chat exactly as you said it, so I can.
Just elaborate on this. It doesn't have to be exact.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So a taxi database. Let's say a taxi database. And we want to first make sure that we have installed Faker. And then we want to import Faker. And then we want to say fake equals Faker. So now we have all of that hard coded in, and want to make a taxi database,
Meeting.
and it has a driver name, a
Passenger
car
name.
ID,
Ah, yeah.
passenger name, a
Pickup
passenger's
address.
pickup address,
And drop-off address.
and then we'll have a fee.
Wait.
Or what would you call that? A fare.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I blocking my own? There we go.
I'm not sure. Maybe you might want to put miles driven.
Yeah, that's good. Mileage for the trip. Or mileage driven. Yeah, that's a better one for the car. And that could be challenging too because of the nature of taxis picking up
And
multiple
time.
people.
And time.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
Pickup time, drop-off
Time.
time.
Yeah. Okay. So now I am going to see if my Apple TV is online so that I can switch to my other screen. And I apologize for the power outage. That is courtesy of Texas,
It's good.
the
It's short
state.
power outage and in warm weather. Last time we had
Oh,
it,
yeah.
like, it was almost a
Last
week
time
in
was
cold weather.
doomsday. Which screen can I? Let me just stop sharing this one and I will share. I'll swap the screens back around. So you can see though how Faker can be very useful for people who actually are able to do it whenever they're on the spot. Okay. There we go. So now we want to make that database in pandas, I assume, because that seems like the most logical choice.
Whatever. Can be a dictionary if you want.
No. And let's turn Copilot back on, because once you've had Copilot on, you're angry when it's off because it's slower to type things. So let's go ahead and, well, I don't want to have a driver rating, but we do want to make a taxi database with Faker. So what we want to do is instantiate a Faker object, which we already did up there, but we'll do it down here too. So we're doing things in order. We want to create a list of 1,000 drivers. That sounds good. So we go fake.name, and that's the convention for just making a list comprehension. Create a list of 1,000 car IDs, but this is the slower way to do it. So what I would like to do is, instead of doing it that way, let's say taxi database is equal to, and we'll create an empty data frame, and then we will go ahead and make a dictionary like you said. Driver name, and it'll auto-complete with what we have right here. So drop-off time. So that's just for one taxi. And now we want to generate a dictionary We want to, how many taxis do you want to make?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's
123.
100. Okay.
123 taxis with random data for a day of use in New York City. This is going to be insane. I don't even know if it'll be able to do it, but let's try. So what this is going to need to do is it's going to need to be able to use the Faker generators to append, and it did it that quickly. And before I could even explain what it was going to do, it's already going to save it as a CSV. So there's the future. But let's make sure that it is correct before we allow it to do anything. Which
So
it's
you
not.
use the Colab, or what did you use? Copilot, sorry, not Colab. Copilot.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I used GitHub Copilot, which is soon to be GitHub Copilot X, and that will merge with GPT-4, and that'll be amazing. But as you can see, I mean, it generates, there's the data. We have a list of drivers, which I don't know, is the text large enough for you to see it? Yeah. We have a list of driver names, car IDs, a passenger name, a pickup address, a drop-off address, a fare, mileage driven by the car, pickup and drop-off time. So now, what if we wanted to plot this, to plot these points with Folium? Which, if you've never used Folium,
Volume visualization library.
yeah, it's a pretty amazing visualization library. Now, from this database, and then showing the map here. So list index is out of range. There's something wrong with what we did in this, and that's fine because actually there's no, oh, you know what's wrong is that there aren't any latitude, longitude points.
Yeah.
So
It's an
if,
axis.
so instead what we can do is we can say add latitude and longitude to our database. Oh, and we have to add it to our dictionary as well. And that too. Okay, and we want to plot the latitude and longitude of the pickup and drop off locations. Some of that stuff is just artifacts of what it thinks I want it to do. I don't think I want it to do some of that, but I'm going to erase it in a second. Apparently it's going to save an HTML file. It's going to try to read this CSV that we haven't saved, but is right here. So if we actually did run the whole thing, what we should see is a CSV file pop up right here. Yep, there it is. And then it may save an HTML file as well. And
And
and I guess I can't share the. Can I? Why did it do this? I'm sorry, guys. My iPad. I'm just gonna disconnect it. See, Jacob is just going so great. It's going phenomenal. Ah,
yeah,
there we go. And open this with Chrome. Can you see that?
yeah, but where are the drop-off locations and pickup?
It looks like these points are drop off and pickup locations, but let's make sure because we need to make them, let's make them red so we know for sure. Did I hear somebody talk, by the way?
No, you're good. I haven't checked the chat. I'll check the chat for you to see.
That's a nice idea. If bear is greater than 10, make the point red.
Yeah, everyone's happy about Copilot in the chat.
As they should be. It is revolutionary.
Well, until it takes our jobs.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Who-
Yes,
who needs a
it's
job
wonderful
with
until
Copilot?
it destroys.
Who needs a job? Let him do the work.
Yes. Well, okay. Well, this doesn't seem to be doing what we think it
Maybe
should
the
do.
long
So
things
instead of,
are not. Maybe the long things are not in New York. This is what's going on.
yeah, I'm just going to plot the points instead. No. Yeah, if you haven't used Copilot, use it. It's worth everything you ever pay for it. And but be careful when you use it because you don't want to use it with proprietary data.
Why? Because it transmits it back.
It's because
So this is
it's
why we
not. It's not. It goes directly to a big model that's being trained by everybody
Oh
and
my
through
God.
Microsoft. So you
So in
have to
that
pay for
case,
like enterprise version to have the private.
So in that case, I suggest that this is another use case of Faker. We don't want, if you want to use it with the copilots, then you don't want real data to be shown. So might as well fake data and then use it to program the program, and then after a program is programmed, use the fake data. So here's another reason why we need Faker.
That's a great idea. Like that would be like a faker mask that you could put over your data that is proprietary so that you could feed it into Copilot and then unmask it. It's like an encryption almost.
Yeah. So Graham, we saw how powerful it is in a few minutes, how you generate a taxi cab ride from one place to another. But now let's go to the simple examples that you prepared and go line by line. I'm asking because we always have beginners here and we want them to get something out of it other than, oh yeah, use Copilot. We want them to be able to actually do something on their own.
That sounds great.
So
Let's
just
go
go
through
over
some of these.
your yeah, make it bigger. This is Go over and go example one and say what you're trying to do and line by line, so people will understand. And I know it's a repetition, but It's for the
Yeah, no problem.
narration. Maybe you repeat this a few times to understand what's going on.
So
So what are you trying to do here?
So what we want to do is, if we're using Faker, we have to instantiate a Faker object or an instance of Faker. And this is, it's like a engine. And whenever you call this engine, you say Faker or fake dot something, it will make whatever this is. And there's a list of things that you can make with it. And I believe you can see that if you run that. It's also on the documentation. You can see all the different things you can make. Yes, it actually is. So you can make all of these things. You can make a ASCII safe email. I don't even know what that is. You can make a random color, coordinate, cryptocurrency, date of birth. So let's say date of birth as an example here. Say we want to make a person, and I'm going to take
You already have an example. Let's go back to the example. I know that you're showing, but go back to the example and show what it is line by line.
Okay. So this prints a name.
Okay.
And it will, every time you run it, it will come up with a new name. This here, and I'll put these in different lines so that we can see that they work separately. And if anybody has questions while I'm doing this, just go ahead and say them. All right, so if we wanted to do date of birth, you just do fake dot date, and it should show all these different options. So date of birth, and it will print a date time object with a random date of birth. So basically, anything that you want to make, anything you need to mask, I think you could use this to mask a lot of different types of data, but let's go to the second example. And this is kind of interesting because it shows that you can actually instantiate a Faker instance based on a locale. So this one is based on Italy. So it comes up with Italian names, which that was an amazing thing to have on, because I mean, it's makes it way more applicable, and you can use it for hyper localized analysis of things. So that was all that this example had. Did everyone get what this is? This is IT Italian for Italian, and I think there are, you wanted to say for like Germany, it's this, and then if we printed it for German, we now have German names. So now if we want to do it for Russian or for French, why not? French names. What about French email? Look at that. I didn't know there was a difference, but apparently there's French email. What about Russian email? Because now I'm actually kind of interested in it. Grigor Valide de Java. I tried. I don't know. There's no Cyrillic, so I don't know that that's going to be. I don't know if you have.
No,
I don't know.
The email is only recently, not only email, but like the protocol of actually writing addresses like URLs and emails only recently was updated, so you can use like UTF characters. Recently means a few years, but some places only, like in Israel, it's only this year or something in Hebrew letters. But it doesn't exist yet.
Wow.
Show us the CRM the example. This is example 3 now? No, this is 2 or 3. You're
This
jumping
is
too fast.
I don't think I named this one. I think this is example 4. So yeah, example 3 is, let's start that up and make that smaller. This basically is so it's a function and it makes a fake post for a social media post. And it also makes 100 of them. So if we wanted to sample 10 random posts after it's made them, oh, I didn't actually. Here is the title of the post, which is "As Charge Ahead Down All." That's funny. You can tell it's nonsense, but it is all bad like animal none father. Sounds like a Mad Lib. So it'll make absolute nonsense for some reason. I don't know why that's necessary, but it could be relevant to confusing your enemies in cyber warfare, I suppose. So if you want to make some fake users, like Elon Musk on Twitter, you can do that.
I thought that he got rid of those.
I was just randomly saying something that I was hoping would
Well,
get someone to
don't say
talk, and it did.
anything bad about Elon Musk in New Austin. The guy
Oh
is doing
no,
a lot of good for us in Austin.
I love the guy. He's a great guy. I just am excited for his road he's going to build all the way down underground from Dallas to San Antonio.
What?
So you can tell this is interesting. It's made a title of a post, the content of the post, a number of likes, and a creation date. So this can be used to simulate an entire social media platform. Just that one thing right there. You could make a mock-up, a real fast mock-up for a product launch, and you could show your product with these likes and comments and stuff that don't even exist. So it's pretty useful. And looks like this. By the way, if you've never used Trellent, I highly recommend Trellent because it can do that. It can write your doc string for you.
Oh, Trellent.
Trellent, and I'll put that in the chat. I love it when things write doc strings for me because that takes up so much time. And if it can actually know the gist of what each function does, it's not only good for you, it's good for if you have to feed this into a large language model, the large language model will look at this and know what the function does without having to do a bunch of extra work. So it makes it way more efficient. So this basically, it creates users and it shows their first name, last name, and their username. Looks like you could also do their birth date or in their email as well. So, I mean, you get the idea. It's the same as all the other applications. You can just keep making random people. But if we go to the populate the CRM example in the notebooks, this is kind of cool. So if you needed to populate a CRM with all this data, like a first name, I'm going to zoom out just a tiny bit. First name, last name, account number, email, phone number, address, city, state, zip code, date of birth, amount. And this actually doesn't use Faker, it just uses a random number generator. Account status also uses a random number generator. Account amount also. So you can mix random with Faker and get even more fake and more random. So if you run all of this, you will get a CRM with all the data that you need on a bunch of non-existent people that you could then use in a mock-up of your product. So that's a pretty powerful tool, and I thought it'd be interesting. There is a no, not gonna do it. It's too challenging
No,
to do on the fly.
that's enough.
It's
That's
the
enough. Let's start. Let's go to questions at this point.
yeah. I'd
You've
love to
shown
hear
us.
some questions.
Yeah. So I'll ask you this. What if I want something that Faker currently doesn't have as a field? Is there a way for me to do this?
So
Like,
what if
let's
you want
say,
something?
I want my, employee number, and my employee number is like 3 digits and some 3 letters, and then some other 5 digits afterwards.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You do this.
I
So
want
you
to,
would.
and I want, yeah.
You can keep talking.
No. So I want to use Faker to generate stuff that currently it's not on its list. How do I do it?
So you would go here to the providers class, and the providers class, you can use these strings with placeholders. And since I am millennial, I'm going to copy this wonderful
No,
text.
don't do it. Just explain.
Huh?
Just explain. I
Well,
want the general answer. I don't want to
okay,
see
so you don't
code
want to
or
see it. You just wanted to, okay. Basically,
Just
it's
explain.
similar to regex. So you would replace any number, like you wanted a number. Say you want
I want
a
I want
letter,
like
a
3
number, and a
letters.
letter.
Okay,
Three
doesn't matter.
three
Just I
letters and a
want
number.
something. It doesn't matter. Like, just give an example so we'll understand what you can do. You actually want to run the example? Go ahead.
Is that like what you're saying? You want 3 letters and a number that look like A
Like
R
A
E.
A R A, yeah, 750 or something like this. Yeah.
Okay, so looks like Copilot is already kind of excited about your idea. So excited that it already has a function, and I didn't even have to write that, but looks like something that'll often happen when I'm using Copilot is it will say something that doesn't exist, and I think that's just saying I need to make a list. So let's see if it will do what you want. Create a list with the specification.
But do I have to use Faker here?
Not necessarily. You could use regex
Fake
or
that you need the,
strings.
but fake, he uses fake. So Faker is being used here. I'm just, it's important for me to see whether this Faker can be extended so people will know. This is what my
Yes.
action.
Yes, it can. So as far as I was able to figure out on that thing that I was going to paste, it looks like Bothify is it's a very strangely named function, but it looks like bothify, if I put that in a markdown here so I can read it while I'm typing, bothify is what you would need to do that. This format. It's alpha.
Yeah. Let's try this. I think there must be another power shutdown. Yeah, we have bad connection again. We'll wait for Graham to come back. A few more minutes. Actually, I can pause this. I'm going to pause the.
I had a question for you, Graham.
Yes.
So the question is that suppose I wanted to generate latitude and longitude for a city and not randomly. How can I do that?
Excellent question. For an actual city.
Yes.
So I've actually had to do this myself. When you want real data, it's not synthetic. For especially geospatial data, you need to go through the, I think the easiest one is the Google Maps API, and you just pay a little bit for the use of the API, but you get a secret key and you're able to pull the coordinates. And that would be through the Maps API.
Yes, I'm saying that is it possible to tell Faker that I want data from, for instance, Austin, Texas?
Oh, and so within Faker, make it
Yes.
local.
Yes.
Huh. That's a different question. Let me try. Let's see here. Faker documentation. My computer.
No, if I simply want to have latitude, longitude points to be generated, so we did this taxi app, and if I simply want to see what will be, I want to, create fake data to see what's going to be the traffic between 2 points in a city. Uh, I need to have data for that city. I don't need to have data which is random.
Right. So
Or,
this right
or for
here.
instance, I want age of people, a demographic to be between, the people who are between 20 and 30. So I want age between 20 and 30. Simpler example.
Or
Oh
you
yeah,
want the drop-off time for the taxi to be after the pickup time.
Yeah,
excellent
that's a good one.
observation. Yeah, so I think that the one we're looking for is the Faker Geo provider. While I was waiting, I was just sitting here trying to figure out how to use Faker for how the power would fail twice in one day during one presentation. But I couldn't think of any good things in the dark here. So we want to use the Geo provider. And let me go back here and enable Copilot, because it probably knows how to do that quicker. Okay, so now this is we want to get, did you say the latitudes and longitudes within a certain metro area?
Yes. Well, it can be any city. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so what's that? Okay, so local points, and then we maybe see if it'll do it. So we want to use the fakers.providers.geo coordinates only, Austin, Texas. Apparently it knows it's giving me a lot of information that I don't need. So apparently that, we'll just say that is the latitude and longitude of Austin. If anybody knows that that's not correct, you can fact check me. Yeah. So let's see what this is expecting. Because what we're doing is we're asking it fake.coordinate, and we want to see if it will know location known to exist on land in a country specified by the country code. Oh, and also whether it's guaranteed to exist on land, which is a good point. Like you wouldn't want an ocean point randomly. Location on land. So you did one. That's a little bit more tricky. Oh, local latitude and longitude. String US coordinates only.
So there you could specify a country code and get something within a country.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like it's already doing that here. Coordinates only true. I just don't think it knows what to put next. Maybe it, oh, what was that? So local points.
I don't think it's supposed to do like really believable data. It's not for like increasing the value of the startup you're trying to sell.
Right. So one thing that you could do is this. You could say Austin latitude is equal to that. Austin longitude is equal to that. And so then you say my points is a blank list. And then you say, while the length of my points is less than 100, let's go ahead and get random latitude, longitude on land in the US and save to my points only if it is within 100 miles of Austin. And then we will have it print, or I guess, yeah, print out that list, or the length of the list first, and then we'll print out the list. And since this is computer restarted, I have to do this again. Yes, thank you. This is challenging my flexibility here. Unsupported type string and float. Okay, so that's easy to fix. That's a float. That probably is not, or latitude type. Someone help me out. It is float, right?
I mean, you could probably do something where you like find a geo library that like takes the distance between a randomly generated point and an
Yeah.
Austin, and then like just checks the distance, and then if it's within the distance, it yields it. Otherwise, it just keeps generating points. And so you could like,
What I think was what you were trying to mention earlier, Jacob. This, let me see, where were we on the providers? Bothify. Yeah, this is interesting. I think this is what we were trying to do. Whenever we wanted to make that custom string. So if you want to reproduce what you make, you want to make sure you set a random seed with figure, and you also can specify, kind of like with regex, these product numbers. So it knows to put letters where there's question marks, and numbers or new, like any digit where there is a number or a hash, and only choose from these letters. So that's pretty cool.
I have a question. Is there any third-party support from any other Python packages?
Third-party support for Faker?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious if there is, I think some Python package that works with Faker to improve creating test cases.
I think there's like a factory like system that like interacts with it. I saw something about factory.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I'm not a pro user of it, so I haven't gotten to that degree of understanding here. But like, even if you look at the main README, you can see how to use with Factory Boy, and apparently Factory Boy ships with the integration of Faker, so that answers that question kind of directly. But if it doesn't, does that answer the question? I guess I should ask.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I think, this is kind of what I was looking for. I think I could be wrong, but I think what this does is it creates it basically auto creates the object book without having to do, without having to instantiate all the different fields within that object.
Right. So you create a class, book factory, and then every time you run something through that, it makes a book because it knows how to make one.
Yeah, and that's what I was curious about.
Yeah, and you could do that to make entire backgrounds of people and use that to generate a auto-generative world in your in like a game or something, that you had these characters that you interact with, and all of a sudden you're talking to a character and it is generated by Faker and it has a whole backstory. And that, of course, GPT-4 is just begging to be used for that. Any other questions, though, about Faker? Thank you for bearing with me on the, for powering through it with me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally fine with me.